Hey, how's it going? It is Wednesday, July 22nd, and this is the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. We're on YouTube, so make sure to subscribe, follow us on SoundCloud, and make sure to support us on Patreon. Today we'll get some coronavirus updates on the 23 vaccines that are being tested today, and finding meaning in the Tuesday pre-dawn message. So, how is everything going today, guys? I know that it's already at the middle of the week, and I'm sure that a lot of you are kind of relieved because always in the middle of the week, we have another service, and we're going to get some another awesome message this week about realization. It's a cool Wednesday. Just thankful for all of you joining us here on the Morning Star Drive. Looking forward to an amazing service tonight. So let's start it well with this show. Just want to remind everyone, keep liking, keep commenting. I want to hear from you guys and see how you're doing. And remember, this week's Sunday edition, I interviewed Patrick Lawler in New York. Make sure to catch that interview. Next Sunday edition, we'll be meeting a member from Mongolia. Yes, we'll meet a member from Mongolia. Her name is Haku Miri. Just a fun and cool interview. Make sure to check it out this week. So, one thing I forgot to tell you guys is, once again, we are... Remember the playlist we have for Sermons in the Sky? The actual videos are unlisted, but the playlist right now is listed, which means that you can still catch all the videos just by going into the Sermons in the Sky playlist. However, it's going to only be listed until this week. Next week, it'll be unlisted, but we will keep the link in the description of every video we have. So whenever you want to get into it, just copy and paste that into your URL, and you can get into every single one of them. Okay, so even though it's unlisted, you can still get into it. I'll leave the link there for everyone to catch. All right, so let's move into the featured artist of the day. Today's featured artist is none other than Hannah Kim from Los Angeles, and we're gonna hear a nice acoustic version of the song, Without You. This is all written and played by her, Hannah Kim, in Los Angeles. The second song is going to be from Juice Star Aiden Verity, and that's one of her most recent songs called Believe in Me. And also, we're going to hear Kuma Chung, and the song is called Hero Second, and is featuring Taru. Okay, so once again, I always want to encourage everyone, keep listening to these awesome members that are creating amazing music together with the Lord. I hope you guys will enjoy it and just have a good time supporting them in your hearts, in your prayers, and by clicking on their SoundClouds.
Like a tree without rain, when you're gone, I'm just this desert place. You're my only escape. Without your words, I have nothing to say. As I watch from afar, I can't help this burning in my heart. I see my light in the dark, shining brightly, but so far from me. Without you, how can I breathe? What is life without your voice to guide me? I miss you so much I can barely see. All I want is to be where you'll be. Now I'll run step by step till I'm free, to where you're waiting for me. Like a day without lights, without your smile, my day's just one long night. Your laugh, it splits me down to my soul. When I can't hear you, it's just so painful. Time keeps passing, I'm just waiting till I can see you. I really need you. I'm fighting every second of time that stands between me and you. stop waiting. You never stop waiting for me. No matter how long it takes, you always let me see your face. So hold on, and I'll be strong. 'Cause your love is my wings. Your love is my song. Now with you, I can finally breathe. I'm alive only 'cause your voice guides me. I love you so much now. I see everything. I'll only be where you want me to be. So I'll run step by step, running free. And then I'll run to the place where we meet. I'll run ahead of the world and see you there waiting for me. I've been fighting with the girl in the mirror, but I keep making her cry. 'Cause she can't see to the future. No matter how hard she tries, a piece of heaven chipped off and fell to her. But it's so heavy to carry. Some call it a dream or a heartache. 'Cause it's so hard to believe in me. How long till I can say I could believe in me? How long till I can say I could believe in me? How long till I can say I could believe in me? How long till I can say I could believe in? I've been staring at the girl in that picture. She doesn't know who to be, who to be. When people say the world is your oyster, it's not any easier to see. Another day and I'm starting to wonder if I'll ever know what it means, A teary-eyed hustling dreamer, find it so hard to believe in me. How long till I can say
Hey, yeah. Yeah 時は2078この場所から作り上げる価値一か八の状況に直面しても貫き通す言葉のタッチ努力は表に見やしない真似事なんて通じやしない与えられたままじゃ意味がない磨いた分だけ君ざまいどうせ生きるなら足跡残したい生き方したい、憧れだってゴールドメダル準備ができたらゴールを狙う魂に火はついてんのか熱くなってんのか踏み出す諦めMake it ourselves play you 上昇する死ぬまで青春今日も接戦中運命いつか毎瞬間自分の考え次第でブレイクスルー目立ったとこだけカッコつけんなら抜け出せないのさ Take you 舞台は生活一人の時こそ進化す普段の開発行う分だけ変化すまずはかつて自分になすくないなら生み出せ 1% 今の僕にまだ何にもない上等明日もまだ探し出す諦めしかないメダル
Right, that was Hero Second featuring Taru, and that was Kuma-chan, a really big favorite for all of us here when it comes to those Japanese artists. And also the second song was from Justar Aiden Verity, New Zealand member, Believe in Me, and of course Hannah Kim all the way over there in American Providence in Los Angeles with Without You. I hope you guys enjoyed those three songs, just taking in all the creativity and the inspiration that God is giving to our members from around the world. Isn't that cool? Like, we're getting songs like LA, New Zealand, Japan, and I hope we can, and later on when we get the song of choice, there's another person from England, a new song that was just made. It's really cool, like the way that she did it, and it's one of my favorite songs that she remade, so it's kind of cool. Well, either way, you'll probably find it's really funny that that's one of my favorite songs. Either way, right? We got to get ourselves into today's coronavirus updates for the day. So in the world at the moment, there is almost 15 million cases at like 14.96. Like, so it's really, really close. It's going to be there by tomorrow, or maybe even by the afternoon. 14.9 million cases in the world, 614,000 deaths, and today, almost every country. Is that one country remained the same, but every other country went down in the mortality rate, and the world mortality rate went down to 4.12%, getting closer to hitting under 4%, which is great. The U.S. has 3.9 million cases. They're going to hit 4 million by this afternoon probably too. 144,000 deaths at 3.63%. Brazil's at 2.1 million cases, 80,000 deaths at 3.78%. U.S. is dropping really fast. It probably means either we're getting really, really good testing, or the mortality rate is dropping is one of the two things there. In India, 1.17 million cases with 28,000 deaths, 2.42%. South Africa, 373,000 cases, 5,100 deaths at 1.38%, which is great, only 1.38%. Mexico's at 349,000 cases, 39,000 deaths, and that's 11.3%. Good news is it went down. The mortality rate went down. Colombia, 204,000 cases. So they crossed the 200,000 case mark, 6,900 deaths, 3.4% mortality rate. And the Philippines, for those of you who are wondering, it's at 70,000 cases, 1,800 deaths at 2.6%. But don't worry, guys, Philippines is doing well. They're doing really, really well. 70,000 cases sounds like a lot, but their mortality rate's down to 2.6%. I just hope that all these countries will really, really practice social distancing, or another better way to say it would be, I hope that all of them will be careful on their own. Sweden, mortality rate drops again to 7.23%, and of course Belgium stays the same at 15.3%. When we look at infection rate for the daily infection rate, the U.S. has been on top for a while for most cases, but not the highest percentage, and not for per capita either. But for the most cases, 63,000 cases for the U.S. at 2% growth rate. Brazil had 22,000 infections the other day at 1%. India is actually in second place with 36,000 cases at 3%. South Africa, 9,300 cases at 3%. And of course, Colombia is at 6,700 cases at 3%. Russia came back into the top 6, and Mexico fell out when it comes to just infections for the day. Now, we have some really crazy good, hopeful news because it has to do with vaccines, and that's the thing that we're all waiting for, is the vaccine. Great news is there are 23 vaccine candidates. That is great, right? And phase 1 data is now available for one vaccine already, and that's from England. It's from the Oxford University. It's called the Oxford AstraZeneca. It's Oxford and a company working together on this vaccine. But it's great to see that data is actually coming through. And it's not just data, it's data with peer data combined with it, which is a great sign. The Oxford AstraZeneca company, they've already given 1,000 doses, and so far, zero adverse effects, and it generated antibodies in all participants. And so there's a small group of the 1,000 that received even booster doses, and the response was even greater. So right now it's at a small scale dosage, and we're moving into phase 2, which is going to be large scale testing. So that's a really, really good sign. The profile. When you look at this vaccine from Oxford AstraZeneca, the profile is similar to other vaccines. So it's well tolerated by patients, and it's good because there's a strong immune response. So it looks like it may protect people from the coronavirus. Are there side effects? The side effects are pretty normal, like other vaccines. Like some people get flu-like symptoms, other people get a sore arm, but there's nothing really significant so far in this Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine that's coming out. So the first trial took 1,077 trials, and now we're going into the later phase trial of 10,000 people going next. So that's a great thing. So they need a lot of candidates to take the vaccine through the system, right? And they need a maximum number of candidate vaccines. Like, what does that mean, right? Because getting through phase 1 and 2 is a little bit easier, right? And we need candidate vaccines, not candidates to take the vaccine. We need candidate vaccines. We need a lot of them, right? And we got to push them through the system just to see if it's working or not, if it's going to hit the larger or the mass public or not. And they're trying to get as many candidate vaccines through the entire system through phases 1 and 2. And the WHO is really trying to make sure that the maximum number of candidates get through the system. Of course, scaling production of candidate vaccines, they want to do that in advance, and they want to get support not just from companies, but also countries to be able to work together to get these initial supplies done. Now, what is the biggest challenge for these vaccines? The biggest challenge is who's going to get the vaccine. It's supposed to be the entire world, right? So we're looking like billions and billions of vaccines, and it's not just once. Some of these vaccines have to be taken more than once. So if any of these are proven to work, like when it goes into the public, like phase 2, they need supplies. around the world. And this is the hardest thing. They're not going to have enough doses to go around the world. And they need to ensure that it can supply the entire population of the world, right? Or at least 75% of it. So you have to, like, the best way to do it that WHO is thinking is getting multiple countries to create an alliance and get them to pre-purchase vaccines, making it equitable for all countries to receive it in a fair way. And also you have to understand right now is because there's never been a need to get a vaccine to do the entire world. So one thing everyone is pretty certain about is you're not going to have enough to cover the entire world in the beginning. So you need to figure out how to distribute it, which countries get them first, and make policy so it becomes more equitable for other countries maybe that are less fortunate and have less money to get them too at the same time. So the scale of production, right? The scale of production has to be huge, like enough so that many people can get the vaccines. And another, and the thing we have to understand is we need tons of candidate vaccines because we don't know how many are actually going to make it through, right? And very, very few make it through. I believe it's like 10%. So more countries are need to join in an alliance, join to contribute and take risks together for this new vaccine. Now, there is news about the UK. The UK has decided to go on their own, so they're not joining any alliance, and they have bought. Oh, they've already invested in, I believe, like 190 million doses. Like, yeah, they just already invested like 190 million doses. So the UK, they're dealing with some overseas developers. They're working with Oxford AstraZeneca. So there's one of the companies they're working with. And the thing you have to realize, and the reason why the UK is signing so many of these contracts, right now there's 23 vaccines in clinical trials, and 2 of them are in the UK. And the government has made deals with multiple companies, right? So one of the companies is an American-German company, which I think is Pfizer, and another one from Germany. And they have already arranged to buy 30 million doses by the end of the year. So there's 30 million doses they bought there, right? Also, they bought another 60 million doses from a French firm. And this one hasn't even been tested yet. So that's already 90 million doses, okay? And then from the Oxford University, from the Oxford AstraZeneca, they ordered 100 million doses. Now, this seems like kind of crazy, right? Because that's already 190 million doses, which is way more than doubled, right, of the UK population. It seems like too many, but you have to realize 90% of these vaccines that go through these clinical trials, 90% fail. Which means that of the 23, you might have 2. Like 2 that actually make it through. You might. Right? So 9 out of 10 vaccines don't make it. They're unsuccessful. And this is why countries have to back several, the way they put it is you have to back several horses in order to search for a winner. So most vaccines require more than 1 dose, which means that if you have 70 million people in your country and you have 190 million, but what if only one of those companies makes it, which means you only get 30 million or 60 million or 100 million? You might be able to do half the country, not even half the country, or the whole country gets it and very few get the second dose, right? Which makes it, it doesn't work as well. So these vaccine trials, most of them look promising, but you have to understand that even though they look promising in the trial run, most of them, 90%, don't work in the real world. They might produce good immune responses, but they don't protect well in the real world. So that's why governments have to buy many doses, and they have to hedge their bets looking for one that works, right? And that's why the UK is investing in 4 companies. Now, the thing we have to also realize is there is a big possibility that there will be no vaccine. That is a possibility that we have to think about too. Why? Well, you have to think about like this. Like there are many other viruses and diseases that have not been, there's no vaccine to it yet, like malaria, like SARS, HIV, other coronaviruses. And like if you look at malaria, SARS, and HIV, people know these infections and these diseases really well. These viruses are known very well. They have so much information on it, and they still don't have a vaccine. Right? There's never been a coronavirus vaccine ever. So right now, there are good signs, right? And there's enormous collaboration between countries, companies, and universities. And the thing that makes it quite amazing and probably miraculous is that this disease was identified at the beginning of the year. So to have something going through these trials right now after like 8 months, 7 months, not like it's about half a year. It's nothing less than a miracle. It's been super quick, and the reason is because collaborations between countries, collaborations between companies and universities are making it much more possible. Just like that first vaccine that comes from Oxford AstraZeneca, which is from two companies in the UK. One is a university and one is a company, right? So this is really good signs. It's hopeful signs, but like we said before, 90% fail. Yeah, 90%. It's supposed to be over 90% fail. So that's something that you have to look at, and we really need to pray for it. Because once the vaccine comes, it becomes, just so much more simpler. Like once you get the vaccine, you don't need to go into hibernation for 2 weeks, right? Like that's pretty crazy. Like everyone is waiting for this big vaccine to come in. I just really hope that it comes sooner the better. But most likely, the soonest it will come will be either the end of this year or the beginning of next year. That will be the soonest, right? So we're looking at another good 5 to 6 more months of this coronavirus scare. Okay, well, that's good hopeful news because we're talking about the vaccine. But we're going to take a look at some praise songs that we can praise together with the Lord. So 3 songs I chose. The first one, a nice fun one, is The Lord is My Joy and Hope. So I hope everyone will just like be dancing and singing together with this one. The second one is Go and Preach the Word. It's kind of a medium song. And then the last one is a slow one of my favorites. It is Only This Remains.
Life without the Lord, how could we live? No one could live like that. Without fun, without hope, oh, what kind of life is that? Since the Lord is my hope and joy, I'll always follow. The Lord is my pride. He's the source of my confidence. I think of Him everywhere that I go, hoping I can tell someone, tell them of my Lord, boast about Him to everyone I see. I'll tell them all those stories of His life, endless stories about Him. Anyone who hears me will be completely blown away, astonished and amazed, because I am His bride, I am His beloved, because I'm His bride, the one He loves, because I'm His joy and His sunshine. My face glows with love. Everyone who sees me will wonder why they want to know more. But how can they know Him? Secrets of the times and of the Lord they'll not know, but remain in ignorance until they are told they will not know at all. As one who knows, I will surely tell the world, tell them the truth, testify for Him, then they will know. My Lord once spoke to me, to my heart. My love testified to surely must go out and preach to the youth. Now go quickly, go and preach the word. Every spirit in the world depends on your actions now. Now go quickly, go and preach the word. Go and teach them my words of truth. I will always be by your side. I'm next to you. Now go quickly, go and preach the word. Every spirit in the world depends on your actions now. Now go quickly, go and preach the word. Go and teach them my words of truth. I will always be by your side and next to you. Now go quickly, go and preach the word. Every spirit in the world depends on your actions now. Now go quickly, go and preach the word. Go and teach them my words of truth. I will always be by your side and next to you. I am next to you. I am next to you. The Lord has chosen me. He's given me all things. He's taught me with His love, and He has led me. The time arrived, He brought me to the bride's golden city, and there we have fulfilled the greatest love. So now I will live just to love Him. I will give all my heart and life. I'll call His name and seek Him every day. I will sing and I'll praise Him. I will dance 'cause I love Him. I will share love with Him daily, having gratitude, and I'll always offer glory in my life, for only this remains. There's nothing else for me, as I've received all things, so I will offer everything before my King. I'll always love the Lord, and I'll converse with Him daily, and so I shall repay His greatest grace. So now I will live just to love Him. I will give all my heart and life. I'll call His name and seek Him every day. I will sing and I'll praise Him. I will dance 'cause I love Him. I will share love with Him daily, having gratitude, and I'll always offer glory in my life, for only this
So now I will live just to love him. I will give all my heart and life. I'll call his name and seek him every day. I will sing and I'll praise him. I will dance 'cause I love him. I will share love with him daily, having raptured. And I'll always offer glory in my life, for only this remains. So now I will live just to love him. I will give all my heart and life. I'll fulfill the missions that he's given me. I will preach with his shame joy. Yes, I'll testify for him. I will share life with him daily, having raptured. And I'll always offer glory in my life, for only this remains. For only this remains. For only this remains. For only this remains. For only this remains.
And that is a wonderful praise song, Only This Remains. I hope you guys really enjoyed that song. Also, the first two songs we heard, The Lord Is My Joy and My Hope, kind of fast, uppity song, and I hope that you guys were dancing to that one. And Go and Preach the Word was the second song. So what does that mean? It moves us into the Tuesday pre-dawn message and looking at some key points. Well, this week's message is kind of crazy anyways. Well, crazy good, right? Realize. So when we think about realize, it's like one of the hardest things. It is, right? Because it's not like we have these massive realizations every single day. But it's something that God is calling us to do, like realize. And when you think about it, it's like we can't realize all the time, right? And what we know for sure is realizations, they take time, and there's a process that we go through. And usually realizations happen when we go through some type of emotional swing, or we go through a difficult time or really happy time. We realize what just happened, right? It's not like it's like every split second, every second, there's a new realization that comes out. And one of the things that was in the Tuesday morning message is like, realize what you need to do every day. And we're like, what? Like, what does that mean? And, he doesn't even just say that. He says it, and it's hard to realize. We have to catch the understanding quickly. We got to know the situation, know people. We have to know psychology. We have to know the environment. We have to grasp the situation really well. But not only, like, there's at one point in the message where, like, in the very beginning, someone seems like, so if God doesn't initiate, we're not going to know. So God is the one that has to tell us. So we're like, okay, God has to tell us. Okay, so that's one thing. So it's all from God. If God doesn't say anything, we don't get anything. God doesn't tell the person he sent, then no one's going to get it. So it's always initiated by God. And then he flips it and he says, okay, but you have to realize that you're the owner of your actions. So he flips it. Like, first one is in the big picture, God is the owner and he initiates, and without him nothing happens. But then he flips it and says, okay, now look at your situation, just yourself, because you can't control the God part. You have to realize that you are the owner of your own actions. Even though God initiates the big thing, you have to realize and recognize you're the owner of your own actions. And this is something that you have to, this word own is such a big word. Everyone wants to own a home. Everyone wants to own a car. But a lot of times people don't want to own their own actions. Right? Like, they don't want to say they're sorry, or they don't want to admit that they're wrong. Like, they don't own their actions, only when it's good, but not when it's bad. So without the owner, we're not going to know. But you have to own your own actions. And the only way to get the realizations from God is through praying, realizing, and putting it into action. And a lot of the things we have to figure out, and it's going to be according to the level that we're at. So it may not be one of those like crazy, huge realizations like evangelize 10 billion people, but we have to realize according to our level. If you're new, if you're someone who preaches the word, if you're someone who lectures, if you're someone who evangelizes, if you're someone who's just learning, like there are things that you need to do. Of course, everyone needs to evangelize, but not everyone's going to evangelize well, right? Of course, we need to learn the word more and more. And some people says we have to learn the word like 9 times over. The Bible study, 9 times over, 9 times over. Like everyone should be learning at least 9 times. And everything you do right now is going to determine where you are in the spiritual world, which is a very amazing and powerful thing. Some people might be scared by this, but it is a powerful thing because you're the owner of your own actions, which means you control where you go. The only reason you're scared is when you didn't do it, which means you shouldn't be scared because it's you. You know what I mean? Like what would be really scary is if you didn't control. If you weren't the owner of your actions, that's when it's scary because you'll have no idea. It's almost like when you go for a job interview, all you can do is your part of the interview, but after that, you have no control if you get hired or not because it's up to them. And they have like 10,000 people. You don't know how well other people did. You're not in control of it. But imagine that the job was solely dependent upon you. Imagine that, right? Imagine where you are in the spiritual world is determined by where you are right now and what you do, okay? So that's like saying there's a job interview, and if you reach this level, you're guaranteed to get the job, which means that there's nothing to be scared about because it's up to you. If that makes sense. It makes sense, right? You are the owner of your own actions, and you hold the power of where you're going to go after, even the blessings you get right now, where you're going to go after, you determine it. And because you determine it, you have to think about that next is then there's no reason to be afraid. It's almost like when a cop comes by. I'm not sure about other countries, like not in Malaysia or Korea, like no one's scared of the cops. But in America and Canada, and if you go to Australia, cops have power in which they have the authority to enforce the law. And when a cop comes around, people get really, But the thing is, if you're not doing anything wrong, there's no need to be scared. You could be alert, but there's no need to be scared if you didn't do anything wrong. The only time you're really scared is if you did something wrong and then you see the cops. It's hard to realize what you need to do in your daily life when that's the most important part. Because church is what, 10% of the week? Most of your life is your daily life. And that's the thing that I found that was pretty intense. That one statement is, it's hard to realize what to do in your daily life. But if you don't realize what to do in your daily life, there's no fun and there's no hope, right? Why? Because you don't know what to do. It makes sense, right? So you have to think about this. What's the part when people are the most like, they're worrying and they're stressed is when they don't know what to do. I don't know what major to take. I don't know what job I should get. I don't know if I should do this. I don't know what country to go to. I don't know and this is a time when people are really, really worried because they don't know. And that's one of the things why people come to God and why people are so happy when they come into this history is when they know what to do. If you don't know, you can't enjoy and you can't have fun and there's no hope. Because what do? You have no idea. Should I do this or that for this history? Should I do this job or that job? And that's why we need to realize. Realize becomes such a huge thing. I'm not even going to cover the full message because there's just too many things. Even in this beginning, the first half was crazy. And I'm going to be honest with you, I listened to the message like 3 times yesterday because I had this overnight, I had a lot of stuff I was doing overnight, and man, was it crazy. And I didn't go to sleep until like 2:30 around there. And then I had to wake up at 4:30 and I was so tired. I listened to the message, only half got in. So I listened to the message again, only half got in. And then I waited later till I was a little bit more awake. And then I listened to it again. It's like, oh yeah, this is deep. Right? When you realize you have power and energy, right? You have power and energy when you realize. And it makes sense because realization is, the way Sunstein put it, is full understanding. Complete and full understanding. So when you realize, you'll have power and energy. Yes, this is what I'm supposed to do. That is the most empowering thing, is when you finally know. It's like the truth will set you free. when you don't know. It's like when people are trying to figure out physics and laws, and when they finally come up with the right equation, they're like, oh my gosh, this is it. And when you have that one equation that can answer every single question in that area, it's the most freeing thing. Realize. Why? Number one is, if you want to have fun and if you want to have hope in your life, you need to realize what to do in your daily life. And if you think about it, if you don't know what to do, you can't complete anything. And there's no joy. If you can't complete, you have no idea what you're going to do. Because you don't know, there's no fun or hope. And that's something people want. We want to have fun. You have to realize you need to know where to go, what to do. And if you realize, what's the second thing that's really awesome is you have power and energy. So many times we're like, oh, I don't have the energy to do this. Oh, it's so hard. And if you're not sure whether you should do something or not, you're not bold enough to go and try it out. Realize, and you'll be bold and you'll be courageous. You don't realize, you can't do anything, and you don't know what to do. So you have to keep listening. You have to keep perceiving. Keep understanding things. One thing that I really believe is true, because yesterday I came in with, not with a very good, I was so tired, right? But when the word is given, if you can't shockingly understand, right? Because one person can receive fire of the Holy Spirit from the word and one person doesn't. Like, what's the difference? The difference is your mind blurry or not? And that was from the Tuesday message, right? Is your mind blurry or not? Are you in your right mindset? Are you in your right senses? The difference is in the mind and the actions, where one person receives fire and the other one doesn't. Why one person can shockingly understand and the other one doesn't is because you're listening with a blurry mind. And the thing that was even shocking it was like the first time he tried to end it, but he went for another hour after that. But the interesting thing he said, this message came out, but this is so basic. And this came up because your level is low. Well, he didn't say low, he said young, which means he basically said it in a nice way. He said low level in a nice way. Right? It's low level, yeah. And we have to realize, like he said, this is basic stuff. This realization, this is so basic. And the only reason this message is coming out is because you are still young spiritually. So I hope that all of us too, we have to kind of think to ourselves the decisions we're making, why we're doing it, and we have to really get ourselves at another higher level. We really do. And once we do this, it changes everything. Right? So I really hope that you guys too will really be able to realize more and more from the words each and every day. Cool. All right. That moves us into the song of choice, but today is going to be a little bit different. The song of choice is a request from Vera in Germany. Okay. And this is a song written by a member in the UK. Her name is Fiona. And the song is called In Heaven's, I think it's In Heaven's World. In Heaven's World. I think that's what it is, because I didn't get the actual title, but I can tell by the song itself, I think the title is In Heaven's World. And it's actually a remake from a Disney song, Disney's Little Mermaid. It's one of my favorite movies. I know, don't ask. Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Lion King are all like some of my favorite, right? So, for me too, is this song is probably the most famous song. Well, there's probably two famous songs on this, three famous songs on this, the animation, the movie Little Mermaid. One is Part of Your World. One is Kiss the Girl. And what's that one that really do under the sea, right? How does Kiss the Girl go? You guys remember that song? Well, this is from long. Yeah. It goes, there you see her sitting all across the way. She don't got a lot to say. You know that song? Go on and kiss the girl, right? That's this song is remade is Part of Your World, right? It goes, look at this stuff. Isn't it neat? Wouldn't you say my collection's complete? Wouldn't you say I'm a girl who has everything, right? Oh gosh, I can sing the whole song, right? Basically, Little Mermaid, Lion King, and Aladdin were my three big ones. And of course, Beauty and the Beast was in there too. I don't know the songs as well, but Aladdin was my favorite of the three. And then Lion King, and then, of course, The Little Mermaid. But they're all really good. I've probably seen all of them a million times. But this is Fiona in the UK, and she has remade the song, The Little Mermaid's Part of Your World. The lyrics were all redone by her, and it's done in a very providential style, right? So listen up and enjoy this song. I think In Heaven's World, something like that. All right. So this is Fiona, and please, it's going to be her debut.
If only I could make my parents understand. I just don't see how a man who speaks such amazing words could be bad. Look at this world, isn't it true? Wouldn't you think it's God's history? Wouldn't you say he's the one who knows everything? Look at his words, treasures untold. How many wonders can one letter hold? Feeling this love and this fire. Sure, he's the Messiah. You said rapture is physical, not spiritual. To the end of the world is the beginning. You want resurrection? I got it. But who cares? No big deal. I want more. I want to be where you are, Lord. I wanna hear you preaching, walking around on those, what you call it? Oh, feet of the gospel. Haha. Thoughts of the body don't get too far. Souls are required for jumping, dancing, strolling along with your, what's that word again? Spirit. Up where they walk, up where they love, up where they stay in heaven above. Wandering free, wish I could be in a golden city. What would I give if I could live out of this Hades? What would I pay to spend the day holding his hand? Bet your angels, they understand, but they don't love like brides but children. 700 sick of sinning, ready to rapture and ready to know what the teacher knows. Asking questions through the word and answers. What's the bride and why does she? What's the word? Love. When's it my time? Wouldn't I love to explore the golden city above? Just you and me, united, free in heaven's world.
And that is Fiona all the way over there in the UK redoing the song from The Little Mermaid, and that song is called In Heaven's World. I'm pretty sure it is because I think it is, right? I didn't get the actual title, but great song. Good job, Fiona. And great voice too. Really, really enjoyed that one. All right, so what we're gonna do today is we're gonna go into I did the story of Gideon yesterday, and a lot of people gave some good feedback. I'm very grateful for that, and some people want some more background information. So I'm gonna try a little bit of both. Okay, so today I'm going to go over the story of Jacob, right? And this is something that all of us need to know anyways. The Bible is such an important part of our life. I'm telling you right now, if you know the Bible, then when you hear the words on Sunday and on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays and Fridays, you're going to be like, whoa, yeah, I know that, I get that, okay? So we're going to talk about the story of Jacob. So there's a couple things you need to know about Jacob, okay? Now, Jacob, when you look at the grand scheme of things, like the entire history, you have like Adam, who was supposed to, set the condition for the entire time period, but he couldn't do it, right? So it couldn't start with Adam. And then, of course, 1,600 years later, Noah came, and then it couldn't start there because of his son Ham. And then 400 years later, there came like the father of faith, the one that began everything, and that was Abraham. Okay, and that's when you see like verses like Matthew 22:32 that says, Jesus says, I am the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I am God of the living, not the dead. So Abraham was considered the first of the living. So he set the condition for the entire time period. And then his son Isaac was the one that set the condition for the individual. And then his son Jacob, which we're at right now, he sets the condition for the entire family. And of course, he has the 12 children of Israel. And one of his famous children is Joseph. We could talk about another time. And he's the one that saves the nation and sets the condition for the nation. So let's get into the story of Jacob, and it's very, very important. Now, Jacob, the first story of Jacob goes into, it's kind of that fight between him and his brother for the birthright. And Jacob and Esau were twins. And the word Jacob, or Yaakov, it means to grasp the heel. And the reason he was originally called that name is because when Esau was the firstborn came out, Jacob was holding on to his heel, and they came out together, right? And this is why the birthright wasn't as big of a deal, because they basically came out at the same time. Like this would be a big deal if like one was 10 years older than the other, 5 years older than the other. But you have to realize Jacob and Esau were twins, and they came out at the exact same time. Well, you can't come out at the same time, obviously, but they were connected when they came out. So Jacob became someone who was working the land with the animals like a shepherd, and his brother Esau was a hunter. And one day as they're growing up, Esau went to hunt, and he came back with his game, and he was famished. And he saw his brother Jacob making some lentil stew, and he says, "Hey bro, why don't you give me some of that lentil stew?" And he says, "Nope, no can do." He's like, "Come on man, I'm starving." And he's like, "Well, you know what, if you really want this, sell me your birthright." And he's like, "What good is my birthright if I die?" So he says, "Promise me your birthright." He's like, "All right, just take it. What good is it?" So basically, Esau sells his birthright for a bowl of stew. Or in the Bible, it says he despised his birthright. And something that's really interesting is people like look at this and say, "Oh my gosh," because the next thing that happens, what we find out is that Jacob has to deceive his father to steal the birthright, which kind of it belongs to him because he's the one that bought it off his brother. But his father wasn't willing to bless Jacob. He wanted to bless Esau. I guess he was his favorite. But one thing you also have to know is when Jacob and Esau were born, the mother received a dream. And in the dream, the angel said that the older will serve the younger. So they already knew that God had made plans for Jacob. So Jacob deceives his father. And funny enough, the name Jacob, Yaakov, not only means grasping the heel, but the name also means to deceive. So he deceives his father for the birthright, right? Taking instruction from his mother. Esau's so angry, he wants to kill Jacob. Rebekah, his mother, finds out and sends him off to his uncle Laban's house. On the way to his uncle Laban's house, he was in Bethel, and he slept on, he had this rock pillow. I don't know how comfortable that is. And he sleeps. And he has a dream. And there was a stairway from the earth all the way up to the heavens, and angels were ascending and descending on those stairs. And at the very top, there is the Lord. And the Lord says, basically, the land at which that you're lying on right now, I will give it to your descendants, which is the land of Canaan. And basically says, I will always be with you, and I'll never leave you. And Jacob was inspired, and he says, wow, this is really God's house. So he makes an altar and calls that place Bethel. Now, this place wasn't originally, the place was originally called Luz, but he changed it to the place Bethel because he said this is where God resides. Now he gets to his uncle Laban's house, and he falls in love with his, I guess you'd say his cousin, right? Cousin is Rachel. And he goes to his uncle and says, hey, let me work for your Rachel. I want to marry her. He's like, all right. So for 7 years, that seems like a day, he works for Rachel. And on the wedding night, we all know the story. Instead of Rachel, the father gives him Leah. And he doesn't even know it because it's dark at night. And they consummate the marriage. In the morning, he wakes up like, wow, who is this? And he's like, hey, what the heck is wrong with you? And the uncle's like, hey, bro, this is the custom of the land. I can't marry off the younger one before the older one. You should have known it. And Sazim did say that he should have known the custom of the land first. So he spent his 2 weeks with his wife, Leah. And then after the 2 weeks, his uncle Laban gave him Rachel. And he told him to work for another 7 years. So after another 7 years, Rachel is officially his. And then he works for another 6 years. Now he leaves his father's house. And this is where it's a very interesting thing. He leaves his father's house and he's heading towards back home, right? And he finds out that his brother Esau is coming to meet him with 400 men. So you got to think about this carefully, guys. Why would you come with 400 men, right? And it was basically he's going to go and kill Jacob. So the night before meeting his brother Esau, the Bible says he wrestled with God. And he wrestled and wrestled all night, and he would never let him go. And the guy wrestling with him says, "Hey dude, come on, let's finish this up. I gotta go." And he's like, "No, not until you bless me." And even as they're doing it, the man touches his hip socket and he begins to feel pain in his hip socket, but he would never let the person go until he was blessed. And of course, the symbolism in that, what was really happening, the parable is for prayer. Like, you know, it says wrestle with God, but honestly, does anyone wrestle with God? Like, really? Like, it's like WWE, where Hulk Hogan comes and slams Andre the Giant or whatever it is. Like, you know, you're not gonna, if you were wrestling God, how could you win? It'd be impossible. And where was he injured? Or where did he touched his hip socket. Why? Because when you're praying on your knees, that's where it hurts, is in your hip socket. And he prayed and prayed until God would bless him. And finally God blesses him and says, "Guess what, Jacob? I'm going to change your name. And your name is going to be Israel." And that's what the name Israel means. The name Israel means to wrestle with God. And that's what the name Israel, the country Israel, means, is to wrestle or to struggle with God. He meets his brother Esau. They make peace. And they're able to live happily ever after. And this is the story of Jacob. And I hope that you guys enjoy these stories too. And if anything, in the comments, keep giving me more and more of your comments of what else I can do for this type of section. And even more, I would like to get your feedback on what stories you want to hear, like in depth, right? And I want to go more deeper into them too for you guys. And I'll do these, and I'll do the testimonies too. Cool. All right. So thank you so much for listening to the story of Jacob today. I hope that you guys got some new information and some more realizations, and that you guys will have a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday service tonight. Yes, it is the end of the Wednesday Morning Star Drive on 117.8. My name is Sky, and I hope you guys had a wonderful time, and we'll see you again tomorrow morning. All right, everyone, have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Gotta believe in yourself. Cause no one else will.
You have the power to make this life free and beautiful.